Good morning. I am Reverend Michelle Scott Huffman, and my pronouns are she, her, and I'm the minister here at First UU. If you've driven anywhere in Springfield this week, you might know from the increased traffic that there are a lot of folks getting ready for something. Perhaps the celebration of Christmas, whether that celebration is for the cultural or religious. In Christian churches all over the place this morning, there are pageants taking place where the Christmas story is being retold by shepherds tripping over brown sheets and angels with tinsel halos that fall off and break in the middle, causing many tears and hopefully much laughter at some point. Angels announcing the good news of great joy related to the birth of the baby Jesus. There are no pageant costumes here this morning, although I did find recently a treasure trove of photographs of pageants that have happened in this place through the years. But I want to visit the Christmas story today, and I hope we leave here having heard our own good news of great joy. So I'm going to read a part of the Christmas story, but not the part that's being read in most of those pageants. In fact, it's a part that tends to make people uncomfortable. So it doesn't get a lot of airtime in church services. It doesn't make for cutesy Christmas cards or wall hangings, though there are some pretty great revolutionary art pieces that make good laptop or water bottle stickers, or perhaps skateboard stickers. The passages in the Christian New Testament, Luke's Gospel, often called the Magnificat. As the Gospel writer in Luke tells the story, the angel Gabriel has paid a visit to Mary, the young betrothed woman, to drop the news that she's going to be pregnant and give birth to a pretty special kid who is somehow supposed to save the world. A little shocking, I'm sure. And we could get into all kinds of conversation about the difficulty with stories of virgin birth and whether or not this teenage girl had any agency in the decision about what was going to happen to her body and her life. But we're not going to, because I don't read the Bible literally, so there's not much point in that. But I do want to lift up in the story the meaning that was ascribed to the birth of Jesus by an early community of his followers. So according to this version of the story in Luke 1, after the visit from the angel, Mary heads out to visit her cousin Elizabeth, who is also currently pregnant, with the baby who will become known as John the Baptist. And in the conversation, Mary makes a powerful proclamation about the ways that the world is about to change. So the text, often called Mary's song or the Magnificat, for the opening words, "My soul magnifies the Lord," goes like this. My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior, for he has looked with favor on the lowliness of his servant. Surely from now on, all generations will call me blessed. For the Mighty One has done great things for me, and holy is his name. Now this is where the reading stops in many churches, but it goes on to say, his mercy is for those who fear him from generation to generation. He has shown strength with his arm. He has scattered the proud in the thoughts of their hearts. He has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. He has helped his servant Israel in remembrance of his mercy, according to the promise he made to our ancestors, to Abraham, and to his descendants forever. A popular remake of Mary's song, written in 1980 by Rory Cooney, expands on the themes of her song in this way. My soul cries out with a joyful shout that the God of my heart is great, and my spirit sings of the wondrous things that you bring to the ones who wait. From the halls of power to the fortress tower, not a stone will be left on stone. Let the king beware, for your justice tears every tyrant from his throne. The hungry poor shall weep no more for the food they can never earn. Their tables spread, every mouth be fed, for the world is about to turn. My heart shall sing of the day you bring, let the fires of your justice burn. Wipe away all tears, for the dawn draws near, and the world is about to turn. This song retells the story of Mary's song, which was a retelling of Hannah's song in the Jewish scriptures, or what some Christians call the Old Testament, the book of Samuel. That earlier song also spoke of the turning of the world into a place where everyone had what they needed, and nobody got away with wielding their wealth or their power against anyone else. Hannah sang, "The bows of the mighty are broken to pieces, but those who have stumbled strap on strength. Those who were full hire themselves out for bread, but those who were hungry cease to be hungry. He raises the poor from the dust. He lifts the needy from the garbage heap to seat them with nobles, and he gives them a seat of honor as an inheritance." You can imagine how those in power might not want to hear this kind of talk and might want to silence it. I'm not sure it's ever been proven true, but legend has it that the text of the Magnificat has been banned in many places over the years. Sister Susan Connolly of the Sisters of St. Joseph writes, "The Magnificat is quite a subversive song, so much so that during the 1980s, the government of Guatemala banned its public recitation. When the evangelical Anglican missionary Henry Martin went to Calcutta as a chaplain to the East India Company in 1805, he was appalled to discover that the British authorities had banned the recitation of the Magnificat. The Magnificat was banned in Argentina after the mothers of the disappeared used it to call for nonviolent resistance to the ruling military in the mid-1970s. Now, when I searched for documented proof of these bannings, I only found circular trails. But it's easy to imagine that people holding power would do anything they could to keep down the people they're exerting their power over. And we know that totalitarian governments and regimes will squash any speech, text, music, film, or art that might inspire their subjects to imagine and live into their own power. In fact, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the German Lutheran theologian killed by the Nazis in 1945, wrote, "The Song of Mary is the oldest Advent hymn. It is at once the most passionate, the wildest, one might even say the most revolutionary Advent hymn ever sung. This is not the gentle, tender, dreamy Mary, whom we sometimes see in paintings or in pageants. This is the passionate, surrendered, proud, enthusiastic Mary who speaks out here. These are the tones of the women prophets of the Old Testament that now come to life in Mary's mouth." And a meme making the rounds on social media right now says something like, "Any conversation of biblical womanhood better include the fact that in Luke 1, 2 pregnant women get together to plot the overthrow of empires." And I would add that they did it with joy in their hearts, because I think they really did believe that the world was about to turn, and that they had some agency in bringing about the change that would literally set captives free. I believe that they were filled with joy because they allowed themselves to have hope. Dacia named for us at the beginning of the service that we are focusing today on our second source, the words and deeds of prophetic people, which challenge us to confront powers and structures of evil with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love. These are prophetic people that we've talked about today, people who write about the ways that the world can be different, people who imagine those without power in any given situation can rise up and claim their power, Whether the stories exist in a book of our history or in the oral traditions of a religion, people and characters who have offered hope to others in times that seemed hopeless are prophetic. And Mary, the mother of Jesus, as she is presented to us in this narrative, is brave, hopeful, and powerful. And tyrants and kings should be on notice, because in every age and every situation, oppressed people believing that the world can be different and organizing themselves to make it so will change the world as we know it. The reading that Jessica shared earlier said, "Do not be afraid of the darkness, for in the depth of that very darkness comes the first glimpse of our own light, the pure inner glow of love and knowing. As it glows and grows, the darkness recedes and we shed our light, we shed our fear and revel in the wonder of all that is revealed." We are invited today and every day to get a glimpse of our own light and to shed our fear so that we can live into the fullness of who we might be, who the world needs in this current moment and in our own unique situations as individuals and as a church. The festivities in this season offer images, words, songs, and more that can help us catch those glimpses if we will just pay attention. There are many winter holidays being celebrated at this time of year, which AJ highlighted in today's moment of perspective. Those among us who are Jewish finished the celebration of Hanukkah almost 2 weeks ago, a remembrance of the rededication of the Second Temple in Jerusalem in the 2nd century BCE, and the lights that continued to burn beyond what the supply of oil should have allowed. A celebration of provision and of the agency of those who rose up against their oppressors in order to continue practicing their faith. Our pagan and Wiccan, indigenous, and other earth-centered religious friends are preparing to celebrate the winter solstice in a couple of days, with a celebration of the return of light in the form of lengthening days, but also with words and rituals that help adherents appreciate the darkness and the gifts that come through it. A week from today, many African Americans will begin their observance of Kwanzaa, which celebrates family, community, and culture by remembering 7 principles that include things like unity, purpose, and self-determination. And culturally, for a lot of the people around us, including but not limited to Christians, it is the season of Christmas. Technically, it's the season of Advent. That's a whole other conversation. In which many people celebrate the miraculous birth of a Savior, but others celebrate the rebirth of hope into the world. Hope that things can change. Hope that humans have agency to make it so. Hope that whatever design may exist in this world, it was not designed for dominance and brutality, but for cooperation, self-determination, and care for one another. As you use sensitive to the reality that people around us observe many different religious and non-religious traditions, we have a unique opportunity to draw from all their stories, to glean wisdom and hope ourselves, and to do it with joy in our hearts. If we allow the stories to spark our own imagination, we might find ourselves overturning systems of domination with joy in our hearts, extending unwavering welcome to those who have been unwelcome in so many places with joy in our hearts, caring for this earth and teaching others to do the same with joy in our hearts, unseating those in power who lord over others instead of caring for them with joy in our hearts, creating systems of shared power, power with instead of power over, with joy in our hearts, creating space for healing for all who need it, with joy in our hearts. Working together to make it through this difficult season that we are in, with the reminder and assurance that every generation of people have made it through incredibly difficult seasons, and that we too will make it through this. And if we will open ourselves to it, we can do so with joy in our hearts. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen.